I would also differentiate in between what do we mean by closing a sales call and how closing a sales call is different than getting an order. Because most of the people get confused around closing a sales call and closing an order. I am also of a view that closing is only one of the stages that we are covering today. And the stages before closing are very, very important to understand. So I'll spend some time in giving a little brief about the previous stages. We may not be able to cover in detail today because the topic today is closing. However, you need to understand the sequence of sales stages that we need to follow so that closing becomes a natural step or the natural next step. My name is Dr. Akshay Seth. I am a navigator representing School of Inspirational Leadership today. And I would like to welcome each one of you for this webinar, where we are going to understand the art and science of closing. Just wanted to check with all of you that am I audible? If you can drop a message in the WhatsApp group that you are able to listen to my voice, I'll start. Without much ado, we'll start the webinar now. So if you can drop a yes or a comment in the chat box, that will help. That would be a green signal for me to begin. Fantastic. Thank you very much. A little background about closing. And to be able to gather, let me first spend some time in laying the foundation today. Now, one of the objectives that we have is, first of all, if you have got a pen and paper with you, be ready to make notes. And if you do not have got a pen and paper right now, then take a minute, pick up a pen and paper so that you are able to capture what we are going to share. Some of you would be watching me on social media right now, on various social platforms. So all the people who have joined directly on the webinar link or the social media, a warm welcome once again. The starting point and an introduction is, first of all, understand what is a successful sales call. A successful sales call is the one where you and the client makes a well-informed, mutually beneficial decision. And if you look at the definition that I'm sharing with you about a successful sales call, there are two important components. The first important component is that the client makes a well-informed decision. Now, to be able to make a well-informed decision, there is a role that the seller needs to play. And the role number one is to identify who is your target client. So let's say, take for example, if you are a technology company and your product or service that you are selling is targeted towards a particular client, a particular segment, a particular industry, a particular person in that company, the chief technical officer of that company, the VP sales and marketing of the company, the purchase manager of the company, the utility manager of the company, you identify who is your target client. Now, your ability to identify and have absolute clarity on who's your target customer, who's your prospect, is the first step in this journey. And I'm sure each one of you who have joined the session today, whether on this webinar platform or through social media sites, or you are watching this recording later, it is extremely critical that you know who is your target customer. The second important aspect is that you know what are the problems, what are the challenges that they are facing that your product or service can help, support, or solve. A lot of people start getting into conversations with their client without doing this proper preparation. And the consequence of that is that it leads to a lot of wastage in terms of time, in terms of effort, in terms of money, in terms of productivity. It leads to a lot of hassle. So once you get this clarity, you attempt to build a system in the organization with the help of which you get a chance to be in front of your target prospect. Now, there are various stages or various phases of a sales call that one goes through. And closing is only one part of it that I'm going to cover. The first part of that is called opening. Now, when you say opening of a call, what does it really mean? Opening of a call means that after that opening is done, the client knows who you are. The client knows which company you represent, and the client knows what is the objective of the visit or objective of the call. And they find it valuable to listen to you, and they give you acceptance of that. If these criteria are fulfilled, then the call is opened successfully. And I am of a view as a sales growth specialist that there is no canned approach that works here. You can't mug up a script. याद करके नहीं कर सकते आप. Because every call opening situation would be different. There are times when you will open a call for understanding the client needs. There are times when you will be in a stage in a sales call when you will go for making a presentation. There are stages, there are moments where you will go for comparing your proposal with other competitors. So various objectives could be there for a sales call. This aspect of a sales call is called opening, where you state the objective of the call, you explain why you are there, and you take acceptance from the client. Now, the second stage before I come to closing is that you have to elicit information from the client and understand two important things. And that you can do with the help of seeking. There are two possible ways of influencing a human being or persuading a human being. Ultimately, when you are going and interacting with a client, you are interacting with a human being. There is a person sitting in front of you. I'm not talking about online trading transactions right now. I'm talking about where the product or service, the conversation is needed from online to offline. Now, in the given situation, if you are interacting with a human being, the objective to help a buyer is to help him arrive at a well-informed decision. And there are two methods of persuasion which a seller uses. Either he or she will provide the information, share about the product, share about the services, share about the company, share about the credibility, establish trust, establish relationship by sharing some facts with the help of which client feels that you are the right person or you are the right company who he or she is looking for. And second method is that you seek information from the client. You seek the challenges that the client faces by asking questions. Now, a lot of people ask me that which of these two methods are better. And I am of a view that it is contextual. If you have got a paucity of time in a selling situation, or you are considered to be a subject matter expert, or it's a very low value conversation, the product or the service that you are selling is of low value, then maybe giving might work better. May not be in 100% of the situations, but that might be a better choice. But if the value of the product or service is high, let's say if it is around more than $1,500 or $1,000, and the length of the sales cycle is more, and there are many stakeholders involved in taking a decision. There is a purchase committee which is there, and then the decision-making process goes through various stages. Then it is extremely critical for a seller to not only understand the buying process, but understand two important things before we talk about closing. A seller needs to understand the background of the client, the circumstances of the client. Now, I'm sure each one of you who are listening to me right now will agree that when we interact with a human being, we don't even know from which side of the bed he has got up today. Do you agree with me? How has been his start of the day? Is that information available on LinkedIn or social media? Yes or no? क्या हमें पता होता है कि आज उसके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है क्लाइंट में? हाँ या ना? नहीं, correct? Now, if we do not know, and if we go and meet a client and start talking about our product and services without understanding the client's circumstances, then what will happen is you have an agenda as a seller. Your agenda is that you want to understand the client needs, you want to develop the client needs, and then propose what is best suited for him or her. And on the other side, the client has an agenda to understand who you are, to understand whether you are a credible partner or not, to see from his lens or her lens whether you are trustworthy or not, whether you have done work in this space or not, whether I can hand over my time, effort, risk, hassle, money to you or not, and you will be able to take care of these issues, and whether you are worth a person or a company dealing with. The client is evaluating from his angle or her angle, and the seller is evaluating or facilitating that conversation from his or her angle. If your agenda and the client's agenda are not matching, what will that lead to? अगर client का agenda और हमारा agenda आपस में match नहीं करेगा तो क्या होगा? What will happen? Write down your responses in the chat box. What will happen? What will that lead to? If our agenda and the client agenda are at odds, then it will not lead to a well-informed decision, or it will not lead to a mutually beneficial relationship. Basically, the closing will not happen. So I would very, very strongly, absolutely, Vikas, it will lead to confusion and no conclusion. That means closing will not happen. I'm just setting a background in understanding that the client, you can't learn 21 closing techniques or 10 closing techniques or 100 closing techniques without understanding all of this. Otherwise, sales would have been very, very simple. Otherwise, the books which are written on 101 closing techniques or 200 closing techniques or 20 closing techniques would have made the job easier. But that's not the case. I'm sure you will agree that there are other steps which are extremely important. So, two things which are very critical is that the salesperson, before he or she learns about the closing techniques, understand the client needs, understand the circumstances, understands the problems, the difficulties, the dissatisfactions, the challenges that the client is facing, understand the hope, the want, and the desire that the client has, and understand the consequences that if these problems or challenges are not solved, how will the client feel about that? What is the language that the client speak while articulating these challenges? Because it is not important what you say or what are the words that you choose about those challenges. When people buy my services, which means I run a program called Sales Magnet, and when people come to me, some people come to me because they want financial freedom in their life. Some people come to me because they want more leads in their business. Some people come to me because they want to understand how to make a marketing calendar. Some people want to change their belief that they are technical people. They are not technical people, they are salespeople. Some people come to me because they want to understand how to hire the right sales talent for their company. Some people come to me because their business is stagnant and they have been moving in one orbit only. Some people come to me because they want to create a value proposition statement which is so powerful that they can gain attention of the client. Some people come to me to understand how to ask questions. And some people come to me for these or various other reasons. Now, if I'm a sales guy, I need to understand what are they looking at. Are they looking for financial freedom? Are they looking for understanding the formula with the help of which they generate leads? Are they looking for a blueprint with the help of which they can become, they can set up their sales process? Are they looking for a sales management or a prospect management process? What are they looking at? And how do they articulate those challenges? If I don't understand that, closing will not happen is what I want to communicate to you. Do you all agree with me? I'm taking a pause right now. Are you in alignment with what I'm saying? क्या आपको मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? Yeah. Thank you. Now, the third thing that we need to do. So one of the key things that we need to understand is that if you will prescribe to your client, or if you will tell about yourself, about your company, about your product, about how you are how you are different from the competition. If you talk about the fears and if you, without understanding the fears and frustrations that the client faces, you share about how you can solve them, or you make an offer without understanding the circumstances and needs, it will lead to, or it might lead to wrong diagnosis. And prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So opening is important, probing is important. Then the third thing before closing, which is important, is understanding how can you present your solution. Now, people do not buy product or services, they buy solutions to their problems. Do you agree with me? People do not buy drills, they buy holes. You must have heard from a lot of people that features tells and benefit sells. And the client who is talking to you is always looking at what's in it for me. Yeah, I'm sure all of you who have joined the webinar today is looking at your key takeaways in your circumstances, in your kind of business and stuff like that. Now, it is important that we address that before we talk about closing, because I firmly believe that closing is a natural next step if you do all of these three things put together. Now, for building the foundation for an informed, mutually beneficial decision, if you will do a good job in probing, understanding the client's need, developing the client's need, and also supporting your client in sharing how you can address those needs, then both you and your customers will be ready to move forward. And closing, my dear friends, will be a natural next step in your dialogue. Now, I have a question for you. I'm dropping that question in the chat box. I want all of you to respond. And the question is, what is our goal in closing? What is the goal in closing? And it is available in the chat box. I want all of you to respond. Write down your responses on what is the goal in closing. Whatever you understand. I'll wait for your responses. So Asatendra writes, the goal in closing is selling. Can I talk to you, Asatendra, for a minute? Can we talk? So let me try and see if I can connect with Asatendra and have a live conversation about it. Asatendra, you can unmute yourself and we can talk. To make it far more interactive, it is better that we are able to interact with each other. Asatendra, can you listen to me? Unfortunately, I am not able to hear you. Can you check your mic right now, Asatendra? I am not able to hear Asatendra. Okay, let me try someone else. Let's say, let me connect to Hardik. Hardik, you are allowed to talk. You can unmute and we can have a conversation. Hardik Makwana.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for accepting my offer, Hardik. Where are you joining from, Hardik?
I am from Mumbai.
Mumbai. And what do you do?
I am in sales and service industry actually. Basically, we are a software and service provider in transportation, telematics.
Okay. And who's your target audience?
My target audience is tours and travels and transportation operators.
Sure.
And fleet owners basically.
The fleet owners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in your business, let me ask you a question. Okay. I'm sure do you agree with me that we use the skill of closing to close sales calls also? And we use the skills of closing to get orders also.
Actually, I'm not getting you. Please, can you repeat once?
We use the skills of closing.
Yeah.
To close a sales call also. And we use skills of closing to get the order also.
We can actually use
closing. या तो हम closing use करते हैं order मांगने के लिए, या हम एक sales call को close करने के लिए use करते हैं. Yes, no?
Yes, I think so.
अगर कोई high value का sales है, तो कई बार एक sales call में close हो जाता है, कई बार कई सारी sales call लगती हैं order लेने के लिए.
कई सारे follow ups, या बहुत सारे follow ups.
की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, हर कई सारी sales calls लगती हैं. Yes, no?
Right.
I want all of you who have joined, not only Hardik, but this is an address to everyone who has joined on social media right now and webinar, is that closing skills are used for both closing a sales call and to get an order.
Okay.
So that we move from, because getting an order is a natural transition towards many closes that you do from opening to closing. Yes or no?
Okay.
When
Yes, sir.
when you get an appointment, you close, right? You get an appointment.
Right. Right.
When you introduce yourself and take permission to ask question, you close.
Correct. Exactly.
When you understand and develop customers' need, you close. You achieve an objective.
Correct.
When you
Correct.
make
Correct.
a presentation, you move forward and make a close.
Right.
And then the natural next step is closing of an order. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
A lot of people
100% correct.
get confused around when to close. Before I talk about tools and techniques to close, so I want to listen to your opinion. When should we use the skill of closing? Hardik, are you there?
Yes,
Hardik,
actually, my there is network issue is there. That's why
Sure.
I'm disconnecting.
So when can we use the skill of closing?
At the time of appointment with the customer.
Directly
client.
after the appointment, we can close?
Yeah. Because in there is a way difference between telephonic conversation and face-to-face meeting.
So you are saying after we introduce, we ask for order?
No, not directly, but we have to convey, we have to understand client need, and accordingly we have to give him solution.
So
in our
वो
industry,
क्या
that
वो
how
क्या
we work.
सिग्नल है हार्दिक कि अब हम क्लोज करने के लिए तैयार हैं?
इफ हम लोग अगर कस्टमर की रिक्वायरमेंट अच्छे से समझ गए और उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स को फुलफिल कर पा रहे, so I think we are about to close.
Correct. So can I summarize what you said? If the customer signals a readiness to move ahead, then we are ready to close.
Correct.
Which means the client gives us a buying signal.
Right.
Second situation could be that the client has accepted the benefits that you have described.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
And when can you suggest benefits? When you have understood the needs.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Because if you try and state features without understanding the client's utility or value for him or her, these are not benefits, right? Then they are simple characteristics of your product or service.
Right.
And psychology says that feature tells and benefit sells. So logically, what we should do is we can feel comfortable closing if a customer gives you a verbal or a non-verbal signal. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Anna?
Yes,
so,
yes.
We need to understand that instead of getting into the game of understanding various closing techniques, we should focus on three important things. And I'm going to share with you and the rest of the people the framework on how to close the sale. So would that be a good objective to achieve, that by the end of this webinar, you are able to get a framework which is simple and you can apply that in the next call? Would that be a good objective to achieve?
Yes.
Yes. So let's see what I'm going to do. Thank you, Hardik, for joining in a small talk. And here was Hardik joining from Mumbai. One of the objectives that I want all of you to achieve is understanding the framework with the help of which we are able to close a sales call. Now, if all of you have joined from the starting of this webinar, then I'm sure you would have heard that don't get into this trick game of understanding closing techniques. Whether they are 21 in number, 31 in number, 15 in number, or 100 in number. Learn the art and science of selling completely if you want to become a sales magnet. For that, you have to do opening correctly. You have to do probing correctly. You have to support the client correctly, and then only you will be able to get ready to close. So one of the objectives that I want to achieve with all of you, those who have joined the webinar today, is to understand a framework with the help of which you understand how to close a call. Whether you can use this framework to close a sales call, or you want to understand how to close a sale. But here we are talking about closing a sale. So the step number one is to review previously accepted benefits. I have written this in the chat box so that you can copy, all of you. The second step is to propose next steps for you and the customer. And the third step is to check for acceptance. These are the three things that you need to remember as a framework on how to close. Now, what do you mean by reviewing previously accepted benefits? I'm sure each one of you will agree that when you make a sales call for a particular client, or you make several sales calls, you may end up supporting a need or various number of needs, a variety of features and benefits. And the first step in closing is to briefly review benefits that have been accepted by the customer. Now, let's look at an example. How do you review the benefits? You use phrases like, let me recap some of the ways that you can achieve your goals. Or you make statements like, as we have discussed so far, and you have shared need number 1, 2, and 3. These are the possible benefits that we can share. Or you can say, let's go over the highlights of what we have talked about so far. What are you doing? Whatever you have, whether you have made mental notes or you have made written notes of your client's need. If you ask me, I would prefer written notes, because if you will only make mental notes, the chances are that you may not be able to capture everything. And at every stage, please take acceptance from the client. So reviewing previously accepted benefits is important because you are taking a stock of the situations on how you are going to support your client. Now, the second step is to propose next steps for you and the customer. So once you have reviewed previously accepted benefits, you propose next steps for you and the customer. Now, there are two possible stages. One is you propose a next step to the customer, or the client proposes the next step for the customer. So I would strongly recommend, and listen to me carefully, if you want to understand the art and science of sales, if you want to become a sales magnet, and you are listening to this webinar carefully with your heart and mind at the right place, your attention being there, listen to this carefully. It is very, very important that you do not stand up from the meeting or leave the meeting without agreeing on the possible or next steps. Yeah. And you need to specify what you want your customers to do to ensure that he or she is clear about the commitment you are asking him or her to make. Now, the commitment could be placing an order. The commitment could be signing a contract. The commitment could be reviewing a proposal. The commitment could be giving a demonstration. The commitment could be arranging for relevant stakeholders to make a presentation. The commitment could be arranging a meeting with the decision maker. If you are not meeting a decision maker, the commitment could be taking help of the client to do some internal selling for you. The commitment could be arranging for you to conducting a need diagnostic or a need analysis. The commitment could be the next meeting commitment to meet again with you. Various steps could be there. And you need to ask yourself, what are some next steps you might propose for your customers and for yourself? Because if you're unclear and you sit for a meeting, a lot of people ask me that we have understood what reviewing previously accepted benefits are. How do you propose next steps? So agree on the next steps, and or how do you check for acceptance? You can ask questions like, what do you think? You can ask questions like, can you arrange that meeting? You can ask questions like, how does that sound? You can ask questions like, is that comfortable? The objective is that every stage you need to see whether we are moving ahead, we are moving to the next step. Now, if sales process is a thread and that sales process has several beads, closing is only one part of it. And you need to see that every stage is closed properly so that the next stage is open for you. And a sales call is a series of various closures. Now, what are the 3 steps that I've told you in today's webinar of closing? Can somebody tell me what are the 3 steps of closing that I've told you? I have written in the chat box if you can summarize. Step number one is review previously accepted benefits. Step number 2 is propose next steps for you and the customer. And step number 3 is check for acceptance. I want to also bring your attention to the following facts. There are 5 reasons why people will not buy from you. Reason number 1, if there is no need. No matter what closing technique that you are going to use, people will not buy from you if there is no need. I'm saying if there is no genuine need. If they don't have the money to buy, if there is no hurry to take the decision and they are postponing it, if there is no desire to take the action, and if there is no trust in between the buyer and the seller. And I want to summarize today's webinar by saying that selling without closing is like lathering without shaving. And your closing converts invested time into profitable time. When you convince the prospect that your product scratches where they itch, where the rubber meets the road, when you are able to understand the client needs and develop client needs and then help him take a mutually beneficial decision or support him in taking the decision, then you close. And I also want to make an announcement that closing is a learned skill and not a natural one. So it would require a lot of practice. I'm going to now quickly share some techniques. But I want to warn you that these techniques will fall flat, or any other technique, which I'm not going to cover today, will fall flat if you have not opened the call successfully, if you have not understood the need successfully, if you have not developed the need successfully, if you have not been able to present your case better, then it will only lead to indifference and objections. One of the most popular techniques is called ownership close. What do you mean by ownership close? Ownership close is when you check the feeling of the client and check with him or her that if you already own this product or service, how will you feel about it? So if you are selling an iPhone and the client comes to you and you hand over your product to or service to him or her, and you ask that if you become the owner of this, assume that you have owned this iPhone 13 or iPhone Pro Max, how will you feel about it? Please understand that selling is an emotional process. And if the clients feel about your product or service, most of the people, especially in car selling or services which requires a demonstration, use an ownership close. The demo of the car is organized in a manner that the client gets full experience before becoming the owner. And some statements made by the seller that this car will look good on you. In retail scenario, a lot of people use this ownership clause to make him or her feel that the client is already an owner of the product or service. Can I request the backend team to keep themselves on mute? Yeah, thank you very much. The second is called embarrassment clause. Now, there are times when you use a closing technique when everything has been tried. You have opened the call, you have understood the needs, you have taken the customer through the benefits, and then you embarrass him by asking a question that, are you looking at something valuable or you want to see something cheap? That also helps you assess. Now, don't do a force fit that this technique can be used anywhere. This might fall flat if you don't know where to use this. That's why I'm a little cautious while sharing the techniques without covering the full background of it. Most of the time, the client will end up asking for things which are valuable for them. If they are looking at something only economical, then at least you know whether he or she is your target client or not. Yeah. Another popular technique which is famous is called 1902 clause. When you share a story about this clause and you share that all of these techniques that you have used, you prepare a story around it, that a lot of people who have used this in the past, you share their testimonials around that and share the credibility around that. There is a gentleman called J. Douglas Edwards who has named another technique which is very popular, which is called affordable clause. If the price of a product is 1 crore for 1 year, or a service for 1 year, people break it down to the lowest unit possible, that what would it cost in a month, what would it cost in a day, what would it cost in an hour, what would it cost per minute. You may have read a lot of ads, especially in the insurance industry, where this technique is used, where they say that your 1 crore policy is hardly X rupees a day, where you reduce the large amount to the lowest value possible so that it becomes a little easier for people to digest and buy. Persuasion clause I have already spoken about, that you open the call, you seek the client's need, you understand the circumstances, you understand the need, and then you logically persuade them towards closure. The wants, the desires, or the intentions of the clients are understood. Some people call it explicit need or stated need. You listen to the language of needs, understand what the client wants, and then close. There is a very famous method called bride close. I'm giving an example here that Mr. Prospect, there's a seldom a perfect time to do anything. And if you wait until all the lights are on the green before you head for town, you're going to stay at home for the rest of your life. Can you think of any reason you should not at this moment treat you and your family as well as you deserve to be treated? What are you doing? You are helping a client take the decision rather than postponing the decision, rather than leaving it for future. Then another technique is called alternate choice, where this is used for closing a call also. So can we meet on Monday 11 o'clock or Wednesday 3 p.m.? Do not give a choice in between something and nothing. Similarly is a now or never close, where you make an offer which is lasting for some time also. A lot of online portals use this technique. You make a task or you make an ask that it sounds so fair for your client that they feel that this is a fair enough ask now. You push the client for decisions. You create a FOMO, where you create a fear of loss by making statements like, wouldn't you agree that it's better to invest a little more than you expect, than a little less than you should? You try a cost close, where you ask Mr. Prospect that if you could convince yourself that the price is more than fair, would you be willing to go ahead with a yes decision today? Mr. Prospect, are you really that interested in price, or is it cost that you're concerned with? Cheap costs more. You try quality close by talking about the quality. You try answer for everything close. You answer all the queries and then try for close. You ask for reverse close. You move from closure to opening backwards on what you want. You try a shame close by saying that a lot of people in your given territory, in your given vicinity, in your segment have already tried and tested this. You try something extra by providing something extra. You try an extra close. You give an add-on offer to your client so that they are able to take a decision around it. You try a believer close, believe in me, believe in the product, believe in the service, and you bring a smile to your face. So these are various techniques that one can try. Now, today, what I did was I shared with you a 3-step framework with the help of which you can understand what is closing. We understood the components of what is a successful sales call. We took a little dive around that if you don't open the call properly, if you don't understand and develop the needs properly and try closing, then these techniques would not work. I've shared with you a 3-step framework with the help of which you can close a sales call. Now, if you want to understand in detail about a program which I run, where today was only a 1-hour trailer. And if you want to really understand the complete art and science of selling, you want to become a sales magnet, you want to set up the sales process in your company, you are facing a challenge on how to create a framework with the help of which you can get leads. You want your clients to follow you rather than you chasing your clients. You want to understand the science of how to use your time effectively so that you can use most of your productive time in front of your client. If you want to set up a sales system with the help of which you are able to set up a process with the help of which you are creating a sales growth blueprint. If you want to understand the science behind marketing, if you want to become a lead magnet, if these are the challenges that you face, here is an invitation for you. I want you to go through a program which is called Sales Magnet, a sales mastery program, and what will be covered in the sales growth blueprint. Number 1, I will cover a 10-day session of 2 hours each. It's a live session. Today, I was not able to interact with each one of you, but here you will get a chance to interact with me, ask questions, and deliberate. I'm sure you got value by only listening to the 3-step process right now. I will also do a 1-hour interaction with you live, where I'm going to listen to your personal challenges in a one-on-one coaching session. You will get 39 videos on each concept for repetition. You will become a part of a sales growth community where you get like-minded professionals, business owners. We have already run 30 batches of sales mastery programs so far, and we are intending to launch the 31st batch. We will also give you tools to implement 1 per session. Like we gave a 3-step framework for closing today, we'll give you frameworks which you can use for each of the sales stages. We'll also give you 26-point checklist to measure implementation. And to get all of this, the price of this is 1,52,000 rupees. And if you are willing to invest your time, effort, and money, listen to this carefully. I will give you all of this in only 9,999 rupees. And another important thing is I have an offer for you, which is only for people who are going to register now. And the offer is that one of the biggest challenges that we face is a lot of people ask me that I'm a business owner, I'm able to understand all of this, but I want to ensure that my team member also understands this. So for people who have attended the webinar, there is a special exclusive offer which is there, that if you will come along with your team members, then the offer is, and this is for those people who are business owners, you can bring an employee of your company in the batch, and instead of 19,998 rupees plus GST, for 2 people, you will get the program at only 9,999 rupees plus GST. So a program worth 1,52,000 rupees is offered in 9,999 rupees. And for those people who want to join along with your team member, then you can pay 9,999 rupees plus GST for 2 people, one for you, who's the business owner, and you can also call an employee into the program. Do not wait. This is only an offer which is live for next 30 minutes. The link is there in the chat box. The program, the 31st batch of this program is starting from 26th April. Today is 22nd April. It will end on 6th May. And let me give you the last surprise. If you will avail and join this batch, then for the rest of your life, till the time I'm alive, I will do live sessions for you free of cost every Sunday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So the moment you complete this program, you become eligible to join the sales growth community, where we will continue to learn for the rest of your life. So I'm just summarizing what all you will get. You pay 9,999 rupees. First, you get a 10-day program, which is live for 2 hours, which is 20 hours of content. Second, you get an opportunity to interact with me for 1 hour. Third, you will get lifetime support to ask questions every week from Sunday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And you can also invite one more employee at the same price. So all of this at only 9,999 rupees plus GST. I feel that it's a, and in case if you find that the investment that you have made, you do not find it valuable, then on day 3 of the program, you can just drop a message to one of my team members who will be mapped with you by saying that I don't find this program valuable. Then we will return the money completely without any questions asked. So that's it from our side. Those who are interested, they can pay for the link, pay on the link which is given in the chat box now. And one of my team members the contact person is Diksha Sharma from our team. Her number is there in the chat box. In case if you still need any further proof where this program has been successful, you want credentials around it, you want to know more about me, before taking a well-informed decision, you want to know the feedback of those participants who have already attended the program so that you can take a logical decision and do not get influenced by the program that you have just attended, reach out to Diksha. I assure you that the dialogue with Diksha would be extremely meaningful for you. On this note, I want to say goodbye to all of you and wish all of you All the best. I look forward to seeing you live in the 31st batch of the Sales Magnet program starting on 26th April. There are only 6 seats left, so please register. And I look forward to starting the programs around 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 26th of April. On this note, my name is Dr. Akshay Seth. Hope you found today's session valuable. Wishing you all the best, and I look forward to serving each one of you for the rest of my life. All the best. Diksha, if you can play certain testimonials of the people who have already attended the program so that people can go through it.
Yes, sir. We are playing it.
I got a lot of ideas, influenced my life also. Very good experience to be with you. Got to know how to move forward in life by the methods you have taught us.
एक चीज सीखने को मिली, सब प्रैक्टिस में का मेन परफेक्ट, सब मेहनत करेंगे तो सर आगे सफलता मिलेगी और सर सारी चीजें करी जा सकती है, सब पॉसिबल है.
It was an insightful experience. The first thing what I liked is for the first time I understood if we have to do something better, we have to ask the better questions in the life without understanding the methods which are behind that.
Overall, it was very nice experience. What I learned is organizing ourselves, which is most important. It was very wonderful session. The topics you discussed with us, it was very detailed.
Knowledge what you have given to us, whatever we desire, we can program it in our mind, we can program it to ourselves. That was the best thing.
आपने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से टाइम को कैसे मैनेज करने का है, उसकी स्ट्रैटेजी कैसे हैंडल करें, तो ये 10 दिन मेरे लिए बहुत अच्छे रहे.
ये प्रोग्राम बहुत सारे मिथ ब्रेकिंग टाइप का है. अब मैं काफी ऑर्गेनाइज हूँ.
प्रोग्राम डिजाइन और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन बहुत ही एक्सलेंट था. क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं इसलिए दोनों साइड से कंट्रीब्यूशन होता है, तो ये बहुत इफेक्टिव हुआ. बहुत सारी चीजें थे कि जिसको देखने का या सोचने का नजरिया वो बदल गया.
कोई भी मॉड्यूल हो या कोई भी सब्जेक्ट हो, उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ये करना ही है. प्रोफेशनल अगर होना है कोई भी चीज में तो वो सारी प्रोसेस फॉलो करना पड़ता है.
Much more than sales mastery, this course is about overall life mastery. Fortunate and grateful to have learned from you, Akshay sir. प्रोग्राम बहुत बढ़िया लगा.